Thank you to our sponsors of the Inside Story Hunters podcast. A big shout out to Chad Hill of Term Provider, home of Big Lou, Tiffany Wondros, CNR Services, Michael Valletta of Quick Cuts Media. Don't forget to subscribe at youtube.com, where you can follow our weekly episodes and get an automatic link to listen to our next guest sharing a part of their incredible inside story. So subscribe or listen on any podcast channel to your Inside Story Hunters podcast. Thanks for following us. Thanks for supporting us. Well, good morning, insiders. This is Laurie with the story. I'm here with Albert Sousa. Am I saying your last name right?
It's Albert Sousa. It's kind of the Americanized way of saying it. It's Sousa because I'm Portuguese, but John Philip Sousa has been made popular, and so that's kind of the easiest way to say it.
I didn't know that. Look at that. Insider's already starting with a bit of your inside story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But we're here in your beautiful office, the Mortgage Apex office that opened within the last few years in Fort Walton Beach. It's a little rainy today, but still, it's a pretty cool area to be when you're near the beach.
Absolutely. We love this space, and we've been open for a little while. We'll go into more detail with that, but just love the office. I love being face-to-face, and in that, I'm really happy that we're doing this face-to-face. This isn't a Zoom call. I feel like it really gives a different dynamic, and I think we probably both really enjoy working with people.
Yes.
And so when this is your job, this is part of my workday, it flies right by. So.
It makes me think about, we were at a chamber meeting recently, and Ted Corcoran, big shout out to him, the president of Greater Fort Walton Beach Chamber of Commerce, and he was commenting, you were being introduced as a new member at the time, and you were just like kind of skipping away after being on the stage and wowing us with your story, and you were dressed, you were just being Albert, and he pointed that out. So who are you? How do you show up to your workday?
Yeah, I'm not afraid to dress to impress, but I've kind of gotten to the point, especially on a Friday, where I'm just going to throw on a t-shirt, wear some shorts, make sure everything's clean, but I'm not afraid to wear sandals. And I think that part of that is because I'm confident in who I am, and I know that I don't have to necessarily win people over with a collared shirt. I'm wearing a collared shirt today, but I was feeling special because I'm wearing my cowboy boots. I just got some cowboy boots when we were in North Carolina with some family up there at our cabin, and I've been wanting a pair for a little while. Finally found one that I liked, and so now I had to complete the whole attire here, and so it fit,
That's it. And mortgages, okay, don't be upset with me, but big deal, mortgages. I mean, it is a big deal. I can't wait to share my story and how we came together and how you helped me purchase Hazel, which is the name of my new beautiful home, a dream come true. But why mortgages?
So that's a really good question. A lot of people hear mortgage, and it's this part of their life that they had to deal with, and they had to do all this paperwork, and it's not exactly something that's fun. But I do believe in the mortgage business for a couple of reasons. It really meets two things that I'm really passionate about, which is numbers and people. And so there's not a lot of other businesses out there where I can really get nerdy with the numbers and really get into it, but then also really just spend time learning about people, making friends, and helping people's dreams come true. And so because of the marriage of those two things, that's what really drew me to the mortgage business. And we can kind of play backwards here, but when I first got into the mortgage business, it was because my father-in-law, he's been in the mortgage business for 35 years, I believe, for a long, long time. He started out as a loan officer, then worked his way up, ran some companies, and then he got into the consulting and training space, and now he does speaking, where he speaks to big companies, keynote speaker, yes, does all that. And so he has had an awesome career, and my wife and I were dating at the time, and he got to know me over a little while, and finally was like, Albert, you probably should get into the mortgage business because you like people, and I know you have interest in sales, and you seem like you'd be good with numbers. So I was like, okay, we'll do it. So sign me up. Yeah, he did. He saw it in me before I really saw it in me, and it was really a gift because that was when my girlfriend and I at the time, now wife, moved out to Charlotte, North Carolina. We both moved out there separately. We both worked on our careers, and now she's still in the mortgage business. She's not in sales, she's in the ops side, but we really kind of, it was a transformational moment for our lives and for my career as well, because I was really like the first time that I went and branched out and did my own thing and be away from family and everything, and just I'm out there and I was working hard. So I was working a bunch of hours, but I realized that, I really do like this business, and worked for a few different companies, did well, worked for some of the best ones out there. They trained me really, really well, and then I had the privilege of working for my father-in-law Dale with his company, Mortgage Champions, and did some consulting, and then in January 2021 is when we officially launched Mortgage Apex, which is my company. And honestly, just from having all of that background experience, from seeing how different companies run, and from seeing what to do, what not to do, it really gave me the confidence to say, I know I'm young. I'm 29 now, so I started when I was 28. And I know I'm young, but I'm confident that I can do this well. And I know that if I forge a path and I do everything I'm supposed to do, that success will come later, and hopefully people will recognize that and follow me as well.
I want to dig into that for a minute because, it's like a confession here, because I was introduced to you by the Powerhouse team. A big shout out to Tom and Beth Graver, amazing realtors, part of the Keller Williams teams, and now a broker, and have changed their own lives, and they're in the Alabama world too. But having them as my realtors, they highly spoke of you and said, he's the guy. Especially if you're self-employed, you own a business, own multiple businesses, Albert's the guy to know. And I had this phone conversation with you, and I just felt you were so light about things. You were so it was simple. You made it easy, and I thought, I think he's too green for me. I think he's going to make it, I don't think he gets it. I know this is going to be a hard process. I expect this to be torture because I'm self-employed. And oh, by the way, I made big changes in my company the last few years. And at the end of the day, most mortgage companies are just looking at the P&L. They don't care about Laurie with the story. They just look at the numbers, right? Mm-hmm. And those stories behind the inside story is not as prevalent and is not as important to people as I now know it is to you, to the core. But, how do you overcome that? When people, or have I been the only person who might have experienced that and assumed you wouldn't get it?
You could be. I would say that I don't really get to have a podcast with most of my clients after the fact, so maybe that's something I need to work on, But a couple of things with that is, one, from my background, my mom and dad are self-employed, or my mom she started a senior home care agency, so she's been now open for 10 years. And my father-in-law, my wife's side of the family, they're self-employed. So we come from a family of entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And we also, I really do see the frustrations and the struggle that come along with self-employed people who are trying to get mortgages, myself included. I'm self-employed too. So I see how much more difficult that can be. And because of that, I want to make sure I'm giving everyone their fair shot and not just brushing them aside because it's self-employed's harder. I don't want to deal with that. So that's the first side of things. And number two is, I would say that it's almost the opposite in my experience when it comes to being green and, maybe not explaining all the programs and all that. When I first started in my career, I really would go almost over the top with, this is what we can do. These are the numbers. This is the programs. And just getting so bogged down in the minutia and the mortgage jargon and DTI this and FICO score that. And, there's just so many things that honestly don't really matter. What matters is getting into the home. Let me have that burden of taking care of everything and making it simple for you. So maybe I need to do a better job of portraying that I'm doing that in the background.
Oh, because you did.
But I really believe in making the process simple. And so that's where we really try to set ourselves apart, and where I try to just make it so that, like you said, if we're going on a hike, I'm carrying the pack and you're walking along with nothing but a water bottle. You're still going to have to answer my questions, and I'll climb up the hill. But we want to really take all of that work and make it so it's very, very easy and very simple. You're not going to ever talk, after you get your mortgage, you're never going to talk about DTI or FICO scores or any of that stuff, or grants or programs. Mm-hmm. But if I do my job and I really just get to know you, get to know all of your goals, get to know all of your desires for the future, then I can look at that and then say, okay, this is what I'm working with. What's on the best possible program for you?
Mm-hmm. Because you got to know me. And when we came back together, it was at crunch time. I was told it's not going to happen. And the reasons were, without digging too deep into it, because it's not just about Laurie, but I felt called for us to capture your inside story, because my mortgage closed in 10 days from the time that we reconnected, because there were steps I had to do. There were factors I had to overcome in my own personal story. Had to do with son's college loans and different things. And I had mortgage brokers who were digging in the weeds and telling me all kinds of things of the struggles that I was going to face. But when we came back together, I came to you and said, here's where I'm at. And you instantaneously, I'll never forget it, you said to me, we don't have to do all that. I mean, I don't see why. And it was, one of it had to do with, I had amended tax returns. I had just spent good money to prep new tax returns to create more of a realistic position of what I make as a business owner. Not to say that I'm not disclosing the right thing, but it was from a position of, a good business owner is taught to know how to navigate their financials. That's why they have a great CPA and an attorney and all of this. And you said to me, hang on, let's just hang on. Send me these 3 things, blah, blah, blah. And 24 hours later, you're like, yeah, I'm feeling good about it, Laura. And you changed my life.
I love that.
It was true, because you said, you took the impossible and said it's possible. You said, I can't 100% guarantee anything, Laurie. Don't think for a minute that until underwriting says green light, I'm not God. I can't guarantee things. But the entire 10 days, every phone call, every text, whatever, you even allowed me to get nervous. When you would call me, I'd be like, come on, Albert, go easy on me. Like, I'm having a great morning, so if you got bad news for me, just fake it until tomorrow, And you're like, no, quick question. And even one day when I thought you really had something that was important or could have been a deal breaker, you were like, let me just set the stage as to why I'm calling. And I promise you it's simple, but there are some details behind it. And it was like, again, I used the boot camp example. We're in a military world here in Okaloosa County. But it was like we were climbing a hill, you had the backpack, you were carrying the 150 pounds on your back, and all I had to do was just walk with you and drink some water and stay hydrated. And by the time I got to the top of the hill and I got to see the sunshine and the beautiful view, which is purchasing a home, you literally were still, you carried the whole experience so casually. That's what people are hiring when they work with your team.
Well, I would also come back and say that some of those phone calls we had might have had more nerves if I hadn't spent the time to get to know you on the front end as well. Because number one, I want to learn what all of your desires and goals are and all of that. But also, I just love getting to know my clients and making friends along the way, And I'll tell you a funny story in regards to that. I've said before that relationships are so important for me and for Mortgage Apex, and it makes the whole process just more fun because then I get to just talk and hang out with all my friends, right? But we had a kind of an interesting story to really bring this home. It was a couple of months ago. We went out to a wedding in Illinois, not in Chicago, just like random small town of Illinois in Bloomington. And so we hopped on an Allegiant flight. We flew out there, had a great time, got on the flight back, and we're flying back into VPS. And we're lining up to go into the airplane, and I'm looking at the people around us and everything, didn't think much of it. Then we're getting off the plane, and we're walking down the sky bridge, and I hear a voice behind me, and I was like, I know that voice. So I turned around, and I looked at the people who were talking, and I did not recognize them. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. So then I keep walking, and I hear them talking again, and I'm like, no, I know those people. And so I turned around and said, and I'm not going to say his name, but is that John Smith? Is that you? And Jane, his wife? And he was like, yeah, who are you? And I was like, I'm Albert Sousa. I'm the guy who did your loan. And he was like, oh my gosh, no way. And so we had met one time for maybe 3 minutes over a year prior at an open house. They were out-of-state investors. They were looking for a condo to have as a vacation rental in Florida. And so we had talked over the phone, who knows how many hours at this point, but many, many times. I want to stay in touch. And a few months prior to that incident, he had closed on his condo, and they were now flying to Florida to come see their condo that they had closed on for the first time. And so it was just amazing. It was truly, it's not a coincidence,
But you heard their voices.
I heard their voice.
This is the point you're driving.
Yes, I spoke with them for hours on the phone. Hours and hours and hours I spoke to them on the phone, and so therefore I could recognize his voice. But if all I had done was just here's an online application, fill it out, there's no way I would have noticed that. But I thought it was so funny because just from hearing his voice, I immediately knew first name, last name, and his wife. And it was just such a funny moment.
May you live to be 600 years old, and I usually ask a lot of my guests, and they have lived maybe just a few more years than you. But you are so savvy and so wise beyond your years, and so is this part of your legacy? Is this part of how you want to be remembered, or is this a platform to so many greater things? Because I want to make sure we talk about Pints and Properties,
yes,
and the incredible people that you spend time with, because we are who we hang out with. So
absolutely. I was actually just listening to a book over the drive. I just came from North Carolina, so I was listening to this book called Tribe of Millionaires, and they really talk about influence, and you are who you hang out with. And it's funny because I was actually thinking about this, because in the beginning of the book it opens with this man going to his father's funeral. He hadn't been in his life for the past 20 years, and he's thinking about the legacy he left behind. He's thinking about his friends that were there, that he didn't know any of them, but now he wanted to talk to the friends and get to know them so he could learn more about his father. And so I was actually just thinking about all of this, and the first thing is, I think more than anything for my legacy, I want people to just think, Albert impacted my life in a positive way. More than anything, like every interaction I've had, or I'm human, so probably not every interaction, but the majority of interactions that I had with him were
97%.
Yes, positive, and if it weren't for Albert coming into my life, I wouldn't have met this person who's led me down here. Even if it's the smallest positive impact, I want to make a positive impact on everyone that I can. And number two, more importantly, when it comes to business, anyone who's interested in pushing that needle forward and learning, I want to teach anything I can. I don't know everything, but I will teach anything that I know to any people, young, old, whatever. If they're hungry to learn and they want to be successful and they want to learn from me, I will teach anything I can. So I hope that people will just think of me as, Albert was willing to, help facilitate what I'm trying to say is, I want to forge that way forward.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Move us forward.
And just have good feelings of like, he cares about me, or he cares about us. And gosh, that's a hard question though, because there's so many different complexities to it.
You're helping me acquire a mortgage for Hazel, my sweet home here in Okaloosa County. I've said it to you, but I really hope you hear it, and it'll be on video. But you have set the stage of multi-generational wealth for my family. The day of my closing, I turned to Tom and Beth and I said, I just went from thinking I was moving into my home forever to, no, actually Hazel is my moneymaker. Hazel's going to be a revenue stream for me. This sweet, beautiful home that has this mother-in-law building that's so unique, and I manifested it, and God answered my impossible prayers. But every day now I'm navigating in the mindset of, how will I turn this into a real estate investment property?
Yes.
And you did that. And now I'm speaking that into my life and influencing my two sons to create that opportunity. Who do I need to attract in my life in order to carry that? How do I move forward? I'm asking myself these questions that I've never been asking myself, and I have peace about it. You, Albert, were the person who facilitated that. What you did was and when you change your mind, you change your life, right? I
agree with that. And I think it's also, to piggyback on the legacy thing, it's not only mortgage that I'm interested in. I'm interested in people, and so I'm interested in real estate. I'm a real estate investor, and I'm trying to build that empire as well. Well, probably not an empire yet, but soon.
It's gonna be.
But even in that, I want to make sure that we're a good landlord that we have a property that we just got done turning it over. Basically, we acquired a tenant, and now we have a new tenant in there. But we went in and fixed it up, and just over time, we're hearing about things where it's like, this landlord may not have been very attentive or just didn't really care and kind of let the property get a little bit dilapidated when people want to have pride in where they live.
Yes,
and
if
so
they're tenants.
Even though real estate is an investment, we also want to make that small positive impact to where, hey, now they have a happy home, and maybe that helps them have a better life and helps them have a better environment for their children where they raise them there. And maybe it doesn't, but at least we're doing everything we can to hopefully make the world a little bit of a better place.
I love that.
And the other thing too beyond that is, outside of real estate, outside of Mortgage Apex, I have big dreams to get into many different types of businesses. But the number one thing that makes me happy about any kind of prospect business is that I can come in and I can build the team, build the people, and help them to become the best version of them that they can be.
And which is a great segue into the fact that your team's growing.
Yes.
So well done. That's intimidating.
It
for
is.
Some of us, but you get all happy, smiley, like, yay, I'm going to build a team. And you are. So
yes.
talk about that.
And I am thrilled to have my first team member, Erin, who's just been knocking out of the park. And like I said before, I really just want someone who's going to be hungry to learn. And she has that in droves. She's hungry to learn. She's smart. She knows the mortgage business from the other side. And I'm willing to teach her as much as she's willing to learn, which is great. And I know she's going to crush it. And I really, really just want a team of people who, I don't want to necessarily use the word like-minded, because I want a level of diversity on my team. But I want people to have similar attitudes, where we're all hungry to learn. We're all constantly growing, like just constantly being ready to move to the next level. And people who really care about their community, care about people. And so that's why, that's what I'm really interested in. So I'm very open to growing the team, but I want to make sure we have the right people on the team. Mm-hmm. And if they are the right people on the team, we will support the heck out of you, so that way you can crush it. Mm-hmm. And any of the, problems that might come about I'm probably not the perfect employer. I'm definitely not. Probably I'm super annoying at sometimes, but what I will say is that I'm going to constantly work to try and take that resistance out of your workday. So if there's things that are bothering you here, or if there's not enough opportunities to meet with people, that's what I'm really trying to devote all my time to, is making my team be able to just crush it.
Wow, that's it. And if someone wanted to reach out and connect with you, what's the best way to do that? Website, text, what?
Yes.
What do we do?
So call me, text me. You can go on to mortgageapex.com for all of my information there, my email. Hit us up on Facebook or Instagram. You can slide into our DMs there. Mm-hmm. And caveat, if you really are interested, take a selfie video of why you want to join the team, and that'll move you right to the top of the heap.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so I take the video and I can just send it to you by email, or like you said, go on Facebook or do something, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And the website address again is mortgageapex.com.
Mortgageapex.com. It's easy.
That's it. And is there experience required? What if I'm just looking at, I think mortgage is where I want to be. I want to start a new career.
Hey, everybody's got to start somewhere. I'll say attitude's the number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the number one thing we're looking for. Experience is great, but if you're experienced, you got to have the right attitude. So that's all I care about.
Skills. If there were banking, real estate, something, where do you think because you know people, not just so much a role in a job description. You live outside the box. So what would be some transferable skills that you think makes your team so exceptional?
It's two things. It's like I said before, being good with numbers, being good with people. You don't have to be a math whiz, but you want to like numbers. If every time you look at a math problem it makes you really nervous or anxious, this may not be the best fit for you. We're not doing any kind of algebra or anything. It's just pretty simple formulas that we do. But yeah, numbers and people is number one. If you have a sales background, great. It's helpful because there is a level of being able to win over trust and being able to properly explain a complex idea and make it a simple idea. That's what makes a really, really good loan officer. And then being able to also be a member of the community.
Yes.
Here where we are, If you're just in a cave all the time, you probably won't do too well as a loan officer.
Isn't that a game changer for you? We resonated on that topic where it's, a lot of folks look for the leads. They want leads to come through their website. They want to do inside sale. They want to phone a team to track the leads. And they sit in front of a computer or a phone and they Zoom and they just want the work to come to them. And didn't we talk about in our friendship that's blossomed where it's getting out and making friends?
Yes.
Is literally casting a larger net. I don't network. Networking is climbing through a net. It's like fishing. You get caught up in it. Connecting. We connect. We make friends. So
yes. Yep. I love that. We try to go out and make friends, and we haven't actually had to buy any leads from Mortgage Apex, which has been awesome. It's all just been word of mouth and building great partnerships with different referral sources, and it just makes the job so much more fun. Because I've done the lead thing, like we talked about. When you're just in the beginning of my career, just grinding through leads, and it definitely will teach you. It will teach you sales skills. It'll teach you quickly. You get to go through a lot of repetitions. But for some people, for me especially, I got a little burnt out from it. And so when I'm doing this, as I'm doing now, being out in the community, it's so much more rewarding and so much more fun.
And you just never know. You wouldn't have heard the voices if you weren't traveling at the airport, right? Not heard the voices of the, that's my multiple personalities talking, but you miss the opportunity of that engagement, the interaction. And so, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't give a big shout out to Big Lou. He's like you. But even being able to come back and find a strategic way for us to bring the Big Lou team together to recognize you as a partner for mortgages, especially for our self-employed business owners. And a lot of the folks who Big Lou focuses on term life insurance for is the less than perfect man or woman, right? They're at that 45 to 55-year-old and they've acquired some wealth and they have some assets. They bought a house. They're going into a second home. They might not be the first-time home buyer, but they've got some health challenges, and they're the folks you want to know. So being able to bring friends together to know your story, know the Big Lou story, creates long-term lasting opportunities. Not one transaction, hopefully 10, 15, 100 a year. That
and we grow and we grow together.
Right. We don't. I got a big boss. His name is Mickey Randolph. Back in Nashville, he taught me a long time ago. He said, "We don't make money off of our clients. We make money together." That's when you're doing good business.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I want everyone to, like we said, build wealth through real estate. Help them build wealth, help all of my clients build wealth, and or maybe it's a refinance and maybe have them save a bunch of money. But I wholeheartedly believe in providing massive value, and then the rest will come.
I love it. And so we're wrapping up your inside story. This was just a small piece of it. I'm forever grateful for you and the impact you've had on my life and my family's life. And may you know that you're always with me. I carry you wherever I go because I hope I'll show you as much gratitude, whether I'm present with you or not, because you're a life changer. Well,
thank you so much. And likewise, we're just so grateful to have you as a client and for putting that trust in me. Mm-hmm. It's great. And we are going to continue to go up and grow together, which is awesome. I think that's really the key is for us to, we're both brand new in the chamber. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really excited to see how we can both jump in and make a splash.
Absolutely.
And I think together, we'll take the chamber down. And I say take them down. I mean, meet everyone and make friends with them.
Yeah, because Ted will be listening to this and be like, "Don't take them down. We're going to lift you up."
Yes, we'll lift them up. I like that.
We're going to build our little, our tribe.
Yes.
So we are who we hang out with, personally and professionally, our circle of influence. So thank you for being a part of my circle and blessing me with having the opportunity to be a part of yours. So just insiders, make sure that you check out more about Albert. Watch him on social media. Come meet him, meet his team, meet Erin. And if you need a mortgage, these are the folks to call. MortgageApex.com. Go to the website, check them out. But Laurie with the Story tells you these are the folks to know. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Thank you again, Laurie.
My pleasure.